Okay, I'm going to make some bread. I'm making it in my house, but you could make this very easily into at a campground. Very easy and quick. So normally I would use organic, but I had this in the house from quite a while ago with just self-rising flour. And I also use 1 cup of organic Greek yogurt. You can also use 1 cup of tomatoes, 1 cup of peas, a cup of warm sweet potato, even regular warm mashed potatoes. Anything to mix with the flour to make it into a dough. Then what you do, and all you do is just 2 ingredients. It's 2 cups of flour to a cup of either organic yogurt, Greek generally, or a cup of sweet potato, regular potato, always warm with the potatoes, mashed blended tomatoes, peas, anything that can be blended to be soft. So this is what I do, okay? So I've already mixed and poured in the bowl a cup of yogurt and 2 cups of flour. Now what I do is I mix the flour and the yogurt together. You just keep mixing it until you can get it into a dough ball. You can add a little salt if you want, a little pepper. You could actually add some dry garlic powder if you wanted, dry parsley flakes. Right now I'm just doing the plain yogurt and flour. You can also use 2 cups of oat flour, which I prefer to use. And that's usually what I use, but because I had this in the house, I'm just making some quick flatbread today, or naan bread, actually, like Indian naan. What happens when it gets to this point, it's starting to form now into a dough. You could use your hands now if you wanted to, which I normally do, and if it's too dry, again, you can actually add more yogurt. You can actually add a little bit of water if you want. You want them basically dough ball. I'm almost there. What I'm going to do now is I am going to use my hands. I don't know if you can see me. This is a great way to make bread when you're camping. Just come in. Oh man, I can't really lift up the camera now. I'm going to show you my dough ball in a minute. Pretty much got the dough ball. What you want to do is roll it into a ball. It's pretty well mixed, pretty well, I think. It's actually perfect. I don't need to add any more flour, water, or yogurt. I think the 1 cup of yogurt and 2 cups of flour work pretty good. And then what I'm going to do is I make my dough ball, and you don't have to, but I like to let it sit. Okay, here it is. I put it in the bowl. You can cover it with a damp cloth. It is self-rising, so it's not that big of a thing. I like to let it sit for probably about 10 minutes. So, and then I'm going to show you how to make it. I'm going to let that sit for a few minutes. Meanwhile, I'm going to clean up my mess while listening to some soft jazz. So, that's that. And now, napkins. What I do now is I take a a Teflon pan, whatever they are. You don't put any oil, no butter, no nothing, just a dry Teflon pan or cast iron, either one that has been seasoned. You're going to put it on the burner. Absolutely no oil, butter, or anything. You're going to heat the pan up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread some flour on the countertop. I'm going to take my dough ball out. I'm going to put it in the flour. Hoping you can see this. Yeah. You can knead it for a little bit. And you just kind of want to okay. So you're gonna get your dough ball, and then what I kind of do is roll it out a tiny bit. You don't have to, you can just break off pieces. And then what I do, of course, I keep the flour on the counter. Then I break off a piece. I roll it in my hand. You can make it any size you want. Actually, this may be too big. I'm going to take some off. And roll it into a ball. And then kind of flatten it down. And then I flatten it down on the counter. This may actually be... Now, I have a rolling pin. But to tell you the truth, I actually use cups sometimes. So... And this is, and I just roll it one way, very thin. Whoa, okay. I'm gonna turn it over. And I'll probably get out a little bit more flour. And roll it again. You want it as thin as possible. With this self-rising flour, this will puff up. This one's not so big. I just turned my stove on. And I will probably make a couple more. I'm going to lay that down over here. And I'm going to pull another one now. I'm going to roll it. And I put it a little bit in the flour. A little bit more flour down. And I flatten it out. And this one's going to be a lot bigger. My stove is on right now, and my pan is on the stove. It's on high. I'm going to turn it down. And of course, I'm still rolling these out. Okay. And then what I'm going to do, and I'm going to have to, okay, so this is the piece I'm going to lay down on the pan. Now, I'm going to turn this. It's in the pan now. I just laid it in. Took it right off the counter. Or you can use your picnic table out camping or whatever you want to use. And I put it in the hot pan. Okay, what's going to happen now is it will start to cook. You've got to watch this. This is not something you can walk away from. And also what I do is if the pan gets too hot, instead of turning down the burner, I just take the pan off. So I'll show you when I turn it. Okay, it's cooking. Oops, whoops. I'm going to take it. And I'm going to flip it. It's starting to turn into naan. There. So, And that's okay if it doesn't look perfect. It's still really good bread. It's even better with, you know, oat flour and mashed sweet potato. But hey, if you're camping and this is all you have, I think sweet potatoes would be easier because they would last longer in your van, root vegetables. You can also, again, if you have some type of a blender or a little stick blender thing, you can use tomatoes or other juicy vegetables to put in your flour. Anything that would be kind of juicy to mix and make a dough, you can make bread with. Okay, so. And now what I did is I took the pan off the burner. It's starting to look like, you know, regular naan bread now. I don't want the pan so hot, but you do want the pan hot. So I just play back and forth with the burner. You can do it any way you'd like. So, okay, it's just about ready. It actually is done. I'm going to take it out now. Whoops, I'm trying to do this with one hand. So I just take out my bread. It is done. Put it on the plate. And then I take my pan off here. This does have some, whoa, what, well. Okay, I just put another one in. This will probably cook a little bit faster now that the stove is pan much hotter. So you really want to watch this. Sometimes when you're cooking it, as you can see right now, the bread will actually puff up. That kind of makes it look more like naan bread when it does that, because then it leaves those little spots, or whatever, little dark spots. So I'm going to go on to the next one. Okay, that one's turning out quite well. Okay, this is almost done, this other piece. Sometimes I double the recipe, sometimes I don't. That's my little pile of bread. These are bubbling up now. Sometimes that's good. That means it's definitely cooking on the other side. Sometimes they blow up like little frog bellies. Sometimes they don't blow up at all. And I'm done making my bread. This will last me quite a while. Like I said, you can double it. You can even do 1 cup of flour to 1/2 cup of yogurt if you just want a couple pieces of bread. And this is done. I'll lay it down here. And this is the finished product. This is my bread. It tastes good too. Okay, thank you for watching.